In your opening statement, you outlined that export values were up by 23% to €3.5 billion, even though volumes were down significantly. The UK value was up by 25% to €1.6 billion. And yes, I read recently in the Farmers Journal that winter finishers are reportedly losing between €300 to €500 per head. We're exploring lower volumes. It's generation far more value, and yet farmers are losing money, unfortunately. It would appear that once again the primary producer are paying the price. What steps have been taken to ensure that beef farmers like those in Clare and other parts of the country are getting a fair share of the value being generated in the export markets?
And it is really around what has happened in the market here, and you can see where that value transferred in 2025. You can see that very clearly. Every farmer in the country experienced that in their wallet. And what actually happened there was that surge was there because there was a tightness in supply deemed to be the case in the market, and that was consequent on their very strong publication around what the reduction in supply was in the UK, around 2%, in Europe 2.5%, and elsewhere in the world. And particularly in Ireland, as we saw from the 214,000 animals that weren't available in the market last year. So what you had was a genuine squeeze in supply at that stage, right throughout the year, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, until a point at which then that became such a high price in the market that there was a resistance to it. And if you have to bear in mind, you have the farmer, you have the processor, you have the retailer, wholesaler, and you have the consumer. And these are all the ones that are influential in the market. So what was happening in 2025 is fellas were beating themselves up, everybody up, to get as many animals they could get to fill the contracts that they had agreed with the third party, the wholesaler and the retailer. And that's where we've ended up. And as a consequence of that, we got too high. People made a decision, particularly the consumers, we can't afford this, we're going to buy something else, or we're going to buy cheaper beef products. And that's why we've seen that value reduction in the forequarters and the hindquarters, and the cuts associated with those. Everything is being affected. We'll give you one example. In 2026, we've seen the VL, the visible lean of the meat product, reduced from €6 a kilo in the wholesale market down to €4 a kilo. So that's explaining why prices have dropped. Why would they be higher in Ireland when we don't have that market, other than we are a first importer into the UK market? We're not a first importer into the wider European markets. Every single one of the countries that we are being compared with in the benchmark price are all big countries with populations greater than 20 million. So that's their internal market. Our internal market is less than 5 million. And we have seen that consumers